I'm reluctant to talk. That was so lovely and peaceful. Thanks. Good morning, everyone. I think I know all of you, but in case I don't, my name's Gordon. I've been coming here to Crosswalk I did the math this morning, Pete. It's been 16 years, dude. That's really flown by. Oh, well, yeah. He's kept me around for 16 years. So today, we're doing our own little version of the Moth. For those of you who don't know, the Moth is a tradition that you could take part in by listening to NPR when you leave church today. And they're sessions that take place all over the country where people gather together and share stories about their lives. And each gathering is kind of, the audience is given a prompt. And today's prompt is, how has God shown up for you in 2025? And there are just a couple of rules to this. You'll have little slips of paper on your table. If you have a story that you want to share with everybody, you just write your name on that slip of paper and make sure it finds its way to me down here. I'll be seated at this table. We'll have like 5 minutes for everybody to talk about things. If you're unsure about sharing, don't feel any pressure, but you could discuss it with people at your table and they'll convince you to share, I'm sure. It's a really welcoming space, so the only two rules are, one, there is a time limit of 5 minutes, so I'll have a little stopwatch and I'll give you a little wave when we get close to the 5 minutes, and that's time for you to wrap up. And then the other is that we are super supportive of each other, so whenever someone is done sharing, we're going to give them a really nice, warm round of applause and thank them for sharing their story, okay? So I'll give you all 5 minutes to mull it over, and if you want to share today, just write your name on a piece of paper and make sure it finds its way to me. Thanks. right, folks, last call. If you do want to share, please make sure a paper with your name on it comes down to me in the front. Thank you. Hello, hello. Okay, great. All right, so if we could put our hands together for Rebecca Prawl. Rebecca, did you have a nice Christmas? Good. I'm going to ask everybody that. Get ready. All right.
Thanks. Well, I didn't know I was going to talk today, but then during the meditation, I thought of what I wanted to say. I was born in the plains in Oklahoma, and then I came to Napa very briefly and went to high school, and then I moved to the flatlands again and lived in Stockton for many, many years. And now I married my high school sweetheart, and I'm back in Napa, where I am so grateful to be. And so my whole thing that I'm so grateful for is the gift that nature gives me all the time. I'm a walker, and I walk every day, and I have been through so many places in this valley. I've walked through the vineyards. During COVID, I did a lot of that, and every day I feel just the gift that God gives us of this beautiful planet and this place that we are so lucky to live in. It is so astounding. And just getting outside in it and just seeing the beauty of the mountains and the flowers and the trees and the grass, it just brings great joy. So I encourage all of us to get out there and enjoy the spot that we live in, because we're really blessed. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Rebecca. Joel. I'll come to you, Joel. You sure? Okay. Joel, while we're walking up, how was your Christmas? Sure, yeah, wherever you're comfortable.
Thank you. I hope you all don't mind if I just sit here. I am Joel K. K-A-Y-E. I mentioned that to a young person one time. I said, you know, like Danny Kaye. And they gave me a very blank look, so I moved on. The first 73 years of my life, I lived in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. I moved to California in May of 2020 after being widowed. I have one daughter out here living in Napa with her family, and they wanted me out here near them, which was very nice. Since 2020, I have lived in 3 different senior retirement facilities. The first one in Santa Rosa and 2 in Napa. And for some intangible reasons, I was not extremely happy in these places. So this year, I was very much blessed when my family approached me and said, "Are you happy where you are?" And I said, "No, not really." So they said, we have space in our house, and we want you to be happy. Would you think of coming to live with us? And this was very much of a blessing. My son-in-law grew up with his grandfather living with them, and he thought it was a good idea to have an older person living with a younger person as they grow, and I have a 5-year-old granddaughter. And so he wanted her to experience what it was like to grow up with a grandparent in the house. And I thought that was quite nice. And my son-in-law said, I hope you know we love you very much. I was so touched by this. And so in October, I moved in with them, and I have my own little area on the first floor of their house. And it's been very nice. Some evenings before my granddaughter goes upstairs to bed, she sits with me in the recliner, and we read. I read to her. And I better not skip something, or she will tell me, I think she has most of her books memorized. But it's been one of my joys to be able to do that. So that's one big reason how I've been blessed this year. The other big thing where I've experienced God's blessing is finding Crosswalk Church. Yeah. Unlike anything I experienced in my church life since I was an infant. And so those are my 2 blessings. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Joel. That's beautiful. Okay, next up we have Saquon Neck. Round of applause.
Hi, my name's Sakan, rhymes with Shaka Khan. No, you're good. I like to reference, usually when I tell people who are much younger, they don't know who Shaka Khan is. So I always say, it's you can either, Sakan rhymes with pecan, so if I'm also nuts. Thank you for, this is my first open mic night, thank you. So I'll try not to shake too much. Gosh, God shows up in mysterious ways. Long story short, 13 years ago, I finally finished my undergrad. And at that point, I was on the 10-year plan, so my mom just was like, just quit school and go to work. Like, we know it's going to take you a long time to finish your education. So I graduated, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. So I'm going to go get my master's because I think I really want to just keep talking at people. And so I'll go teach. And I was going to go get my master's and hopefully be a professor. And then the universe surprised me, and I became pregnant. And I was like, I guess I'm going to be a mom. So I'm going to put that on hold. And I didn't know if I would ever detour to going to teach again, but now my children are 12 and 8. They've been the biggest blessing and love, and they come here, and they've been the reason why I've been coming here, because I was raised Buddhist, so the idea of going to church just never crossed my mind. But they've come to Crosswalk, they love it here, and so I'm like, I'm going to check this place out. And so I've been coming, and I've just really loved the community and feeling accepted and allowed to just be in a space of however God shows up. And anyway, long story short, I got a teaching opportunity. I don't have a teaching degree. I'm not Catholic. So here I am teaching at a Catholic school where I'm not licensed to be a teacher, but because of my degree that took me 10 years to get, and just trusting the universe and divine timing, however it shows up in whichever way. I applied for this job that someone had had invited me to apply for. I'm like, I don't think I'm qualified for this. And I just trusted God. So I prayed. I'm like, if this is where I'm supposed to be, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm not going to expect anything to come out of it. Sorry, I get emotional. I'm going against people who are probably more qualified than I am, but I just decided that I'm going to be authentic. I'm going to show up as who I am. And if I'm meant to have this job, I will. And after 3 months of interviewing and going through the process, my dad had passed away, and I was like, so I got the job. Here I am teaching at a Catholic school, learning about Christianities in ways that I didn't anticipate. So I guess my gratitude is that even though timing feels, even though things don't show up the way we anticipate, God always shows up through, in divine timing. So thank you.
Thanks, Sakan. Thank you, Sakan. Crystal Largo, I'm coming to you. All right, come on up. Okay.
So I'm thinking of, I believe it was a Ben Franklin saying, "A stitch in time saves 9." Well, I have been freely stitched together after 2 surgeries, one on November the 20th and one on December the 22nd. So I'm kind of like wrapped like a cocoon, like the moth, or a chrysalis, like the butterfly right now. I'm so happy to be back among you all. So these are my props for my this is probably the shortest story that I will ever tell in public, so don't sneeze or look away too long. So this is a bag that somebody shout out, what does it say on it? CVS. Yeah, CVS. Well, 2 weeks before my November surgery, I made the brilliant decision to write a new will and to write a new advanced health directory. I was aided in this by the Northern California Legal Society, which is a free service for people who are older or in need and poor. So I qualified, unfortunately. Or maybe it was fortunate. So on the 18th of November, I picked up my papers in Vallejo, as my Spanish-speaking friends have told me to say it. And I brought them home the next day. I took the 19th, the day before my surgery. I took these papers to be notarized and witnessed and properly legalized. At the 20th in the morning early, I went to surgery at Queens. In the meantime, I didn't get home again until December the 13th. From that, I ended up in a nursing home, Napa Valley Care Center, which was a wonderful, huge blessing. Anyhow, my daughter from Oregon, who is the executrix of my new will and my health directive, was coming down to Vallejo for a visit to her son. I wanted to give her copies of these properly witnessed and notarized papers. I began looking for them. I hunted and hunted and hunted. Days after day after day, I hunted for them. In the papers, I found stacks and stacks of papers and folders and files, and no papers, no will, no health directive to give to my daughter. I prayed day, I prayed night, I prayed in between the days and nights, the twilights and the dawns, that I could find those papers in time to give them to her. She was coming on the 24th. On November the 23rd, I woke up early, And I sat on the side of my bed, as I have been known to do, and I said out loud, "Good morning, God. Good morning, Jesus. Good morning, Holy Spirit. Please help me." And I was looking outside my bedroom window, but my eyes fell on a bag sitting on the floor. Only the CVS letters showed. And my mind kind of tripped on that. I said, "What is a CVS bag doing sitting on the floor by my window? I don't remember what's in it or where it came from." Well, I knew where it came from. It came from CVS. So I'm sitting there looking at this and just looking. And then there was this loud masculine voice of God. And God said to me out loud, very loud, but God does not speak to me in whispers. God speaks to me in commands, in loud, energetic voices. So God says to me on the 23rd of December this year, "Krista Largo, why are you sitting there looking at the CVS bag? You have been praying for help from me for days and nights. Krista Largo, stop sitting on the side of your bed looking at that bag. Stand up and pick up the damn bag." And I jumped and I said, "God, did you just say damn?" And he said, "I did." And then he laughed. Oh my goodness, you could have just knocked me over with a feather at God's laugh. It was deep, it was throaty, it was a gusto laugh. And I stood up like I was commanded, picked up the CVS bag, looked inside, and then reached inside. And there they were, the papers, the will, and the health directive. And I was the recipient of this direct communication from God, which is not unusual for me, but I still find it interesting that God said, "Pick up the damn bag and look inside of it." That's my story of God this year, and all of you people are part of it.
Thanks, Crystal Largo. You bet. Pick up the damn bag. Okay. I just wanted an excuse to cuss in church. Sorry, man. Okay. Okay, next up is Liza Bush. I hope I'm saying that right. Lisa, sorry. Thanks, Lisa.
My Christmas was fantastic. Yes. Woo. I was feeling, Nancy, my table mate, told me that I could change my mind if I wanted to. So I will first say, yes, Lisa Bush. And a year ago, well, I'll first say the prompt of how has God shown up in my life. It's so emotional. It's such a beautiful, blessed year. First January last year was when I first came to CrossWalk, so it's been a short period of time. But this year has been about these continuous moments, particularly with my father, caring for my father. So, Joel, thank you for sharing your story. My story is a little reverse of that, where I was so blessed and honored to, care for my father, these things we get to do where the roles are changed. Of, this tough guy, who's been recovered addict for decades, lived a rough life, and him being so open to being cared for. Cared for like a child. My daughter's grown now, and we had many conversations about death and dying shortly before his stroke, which was ironic, and to see kind of the fear, or what I perceived as fear, of him passing, and just stepping into how do I care. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling. So we moved from my home to a facility, which was difficult. It was the physical part of it. I don't have a partner. I'm still working. I wish I could be retired. He would be in my home for sure. That shift of him going to a facility, and I guess we kind of created a little bit of a monster. He was so used to things the way he wanted, and anyhow, that's kind of the backdrop of the story. But this year has been just stepping into the moments and not trying to control, like put my work hat on, solving problems, making things happen a particular way, but letting God show up. And I think one of the very first, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to come up and cry. The very first sermons was talking about, being the salt of the earth, and how we let God work through us. And so I think the theme for me of how God has shown up is reset each day. All right, reveal yourself. Let me just work through me, which was a really beautiful thing. So these laughter moments of changing catheters, and the beauty and absolute joy my father receives in transferring to, TMI, to a toilet versus being in bed and having to be cleaned up. Just looking for those blessings and singing a song. And I've brought him here a couple of times. The first time I said, well, how'd you like that, Dad? And he said, oh, it was okay. Then he's like, I want to go back. I want to go back. And we're sharing our stories about that and singing not so well songs on a speaker. So I'll just say that God has shown up in ways of allowing me to be present and not seek a particular temporal resolution. My dad is pressed way beyond the 8 months to 1 year that he was given to live 3 years ago. So I'm blessed for that. And his path is his path, and I've let go of trying to, be everything and everything all at once, and just be. So I think in this way, this has been my own transformation, and recognizing that God is in every moment, and we just have to ask, knock and ask. So that's all.
Thanks, Lisa. So I have one name left, and before I read it, in case I wanted to offer up a last chance to anybody who didn't put your name in the hat earlier, but perhaps you're feeling inspired by people who spoke. Anyone? Last call? Lauren? Yeah, come on down, man.
We'll take off that intimidating vest. Okay, this starts out silly. Maybe it's silly all the way through. But Lisa and I like to play games. I mean, there's mental games and emotional games and abusive games and all kinds of games, right? No, board games. So she really likes to play games with dice. So Yahtzee's been a big thing. We have the electronic Yahtzee in our bathroom. But her favorite thing is this game called Aggravation. And you probably played it at your grandma's house, right? It's this square board, circle, and marbles you move around and you throw a die. If you get a 6, you can get your marble out, and you get another turn. If you throw 1, you get your marble out, da-da-da. You jump them, you send them back to base. Very frustrating aggravation, right? So we started playing this a few years ago, and we played it a lot. And it was really fun. But this is like a demonstration of the randomness of the universe that drives you crazy, right? Because there's nothing more random than a die. It's going to come up 1 through 6. You never know. It's equal, and it can be crazy. And I had a hard time with this because I would plot elaborate strategies for these marbles and where you place them and how you're going to move them around and set traps and all this stuff. And then something would happen and it would just all go down the toilet and you'd lose the game badly, and I took it poorly. You can ask Lisa. There were times when I had to just say, I can't play this anymore. I'm going to have to take some time off because this is just really frustrating. So here's an example. The first time we played with my son's mother-in-law, she had never played the game before. And she was moving along and doing fairly well. And she ended the game by throwing 6 sixes in a row and putting her last marble in the only spot available to her on the board. And I'm like, that did not happen. All right? You could play this game again 1,000 times. You would never see that happen, right? So stuff like that really bothered me. This can't be true. You cannot have that many things happen that are weird. I mean, right? It's supposed to pretty much flow along, follow the percentages, and you play your life that way, right? So I didn't know how I was going to tell this story, what this was going to be about. And then I was sitting here this morning, and it's like, I can be satisfied in all things. This is Paul in jail in Rome, right? And he's writing to the Philippians. He's probably in chains, right? And he's satisfied. He has no control over where he's at. But he's appreciating what he does have and the knowledge that he has, right? And so it's like, I've realized, I forgot to kind of didn't emphasize this part. You know that scene in Monty Python in the Search of the Holy Grail, where the guy says, she turned me into a newt, right? Or he says, the witch turned him into a newt, and he looked at him because he's obviously not a newt. And he goes, I got better, right? So I got better about this whole frustration thing, and it's still aggravating, but that's the point. But I don't get so wrapped up in it because I can't control the darn dice. And I can't control what she's doing with them either. And it's like, it's an epiphany, right? There's so much that goes on in the universe at a gigantic scale and at a subatomic particle scale you cannot control. You just have to learn to be okay with it. And it doesn't mean that things that you can control, you just ignore, bury, pretend they don't exist, rage against them, but understand you can't control it all. So that's kind of what came to me today with this story. Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. Believe it or not, Lauren, my wife, Ann comes up and sings sometimes. That's my wife. My wife, Ann, is an equally frustrated games person. And it's something that she's really resolved over the last few years. Like before, Ann used to be like one of those table flipper type people. Like if she lost the game. This is my wife, Ann. People are laughing because if you know my wife, Ann, this is not something that you would think she would do. But yeah, that's how she used to be. And that's something that's definitely changed for her. Before I call the last name, I wanted to share how God showed up for me this year. my dad passed in October, and it was kind of sudden. And my dad moved out here, and I moved him out in late 2019 because he started having some health issues. And we grew up in Northern Virginia outside D.C. And so my dad lived with us for like the first year during COVID lockdown and all that kind of stuff. And one of my big concerns for him as we moved him out of our house and into the meadows here in town was he going to find and make friends? Was he going to have a community here in this place that was, on the opposite side of the country? And how God showed up for me was at his memorial, over half the people there were friends that he had made since coming out here. And that for me was just such a gift that I was so grateful for, that he got to have this kind of second chapter or third chapter or 10th chapter, he was in his 80s, of his life in a community and with people that were new to him and loved him and appreciated him. And many of you were there, and I'm very, very grateful for that. So last but not least, to bring us home, Candace Ramsey, come on down. Candace, how was your Christmas? Oh. She was joking. Okay, good.
It was very nice. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. So I've been listening to everybody's story this morning. It's been wonderful. I mean, I have a confession to make. We get comfortable sometimes in ourselves and in our places. And me, I've been coming here 4 years. I've been comfortable where I've been sitting in church. And I always gravitate over to maybe a couple tables on this side. And I'm seeing a lot of new faces, hearing a lot of new stories of people that have come in the last year or two. And I get comfortable just kind of being in my own little area. So one of the things I'm going to remedy in the new year is start wandering out into the crowd a little more, start getting to know some other people, go to lunch, get to know people on smaller bases. I think last year I wore socks, and I realized I put them on this morning, was my special socks is be the kind of person your dog thinks you are. And I have them on again. I'm going to reverse that a little bit because my dog thinks I'm great, so, But be the kind of person God thinks you are. Kind of flip the dog to God. Talk about being comfortable. I was pretty stable in my life, and I had the rug pulled out from under me this summer. And it's been a very rough time. Living, stability, everything. Friendships. It just hit. I've been doing the best I can, but where God has shown up, incidentally, is that I haven't been shown anything. Every time I had a lead or a place that I thought I was going to, it was like, okay, this is it. And no, it wasn't it. It's like, and I was feeling really, really distraught. But where God is showing up it's something that's changing in me, inside of me. I'm not just kind of wallowing into a depression or spiraling. I'm becoming brave. I've had kind of a bravado that I don't think I've ever had in my life. And it's filling me with new ideas, new energy that I haven't had in a very long time. So I wish to continue on this road for not just New Year's, and going forward. And I want to thank all of you because you helped me keep showing up again and again, and Pastor Pete as well. So Happy New Year.
Oh, thanks, Candace. Well, one big last round of applause for everybody who shared today. That was beautiful. And again, one last note of gratitude. I think I speak on behalf of all of us that I'm so grateful to be part of a church where we can get up and share these beautiful things with each other, because we know that we're all there for each other in the end, that your joy is our joy, that your pain is our pain. What a beautiful place to be. So last but not least, Pete's going to lead us in a benediction. And a quick reminder that we have things to clean up today, so inquire how you can help out. Thanks.
Mic on? Yeah, there we go. So many things to remember. Pick up the damn bag. I think we're all going to remember that one. And the dice. I mean, it's so many great things. You know, on your tables today, you have all the candles lit up, and that middle one is the one we lit up Christmas Eve. That's called the Christ candle, and it's a celebration of the recognition of Jesus' birth, and beyond that, the incarnation of God, Christ in the world. Now, sometimes we think that Christ is Jesus' last name. It's not. Christ is actually bigger than Jesus. Christ is before Jesus, and Christ is much longer after Jesus' life. In the Gospel of John, he starts in his prologue, in the beginning was the Word, and you could put Word and Christ together. It's this anointing, it's this presence of God that is everywhere. But in Jesus, in his life, we saw it come in a person in ways we had not yet seen before. And that changes everything in how we think. All the stories that you shared today were witnessing the birth of Christ in the world. The showing up of this other, this greater other, this thisness, this goodness, this peace, this love that transcends. These are all expressions of Christ who we celebrate at Christmas. As we go into 2026, as you've heard all these stories, Lauren referenced this verse. And I think it's a pretty good thing. I think it gives us great hope, not because everything is going to go great, because it's not. The dice is going to, well, it might for somebody, but not for Lauren, right? But for most of us, the dice, we never know how it's going to go. But we do know that no matter what happens, there is something that holds us. There's something that we hold that gets us through. So this is the Apostle Paul's statement. I have learned how to be content in any circumstance. I know the experience of being in need and of having more than enough. I have learned the secret to being content in any and every circumstance, whether full or hungry, or whether having plenty or being poor. I can endure all these things through the power of the one who gives me strength. And that one is Christ. That one is the Spirit of God. That one is the thisness, the ground of our being, that holds us, that guides us, that buoys us, that strengthens us. And that Christ is going to be with us every step of the way. So thank you for being here today. Hope you had a good experience, and we will see you in 2026. All right.